Hey y'all, it's Andrew Reed with Monster Creek Mushrooms and the MushRune Cast, I guess. And joining me, as always, is my ever loverly wife, Samantha, who is more interested in typing to you than looking at the camera. Say hello, Samantha. Can you speak so I can make sure I can hear you? Okay, she's broken.
There's definitely a lag.
Yeah, there's definitely can you say hello?
Hello.
Well, awesome. Glad to be back, guys. It's been a little bit. It's been a year. So, actually, we've done little live streams and stuff, but not just Q&As. We've not really done much of anything as far as doing any sort of, official podcast or anything goes. So, I guess I don't know what. I'll just go into why that is. I'll just go into it then. I ended up having a little bit of health problems over the past year, so that's kind of what's kept me going on. About the past 6 months or so, I've really been just trying to recover and get to where I can do stuff. So Samantha covered pretty much the entire business with our kids, and then some help from. We've had a couple of contractors come in and just help us out a little bit. Our most recent being Mondo, if you guys are familiar with him.
Reed Clan Unite.
That's right. We had a Reed Clan Unite for sure. But it worked out. I'm feeling much better. We actually just returned from a bike ride down to the lake bottom. They've drained the lake, and so we were able to just kind of ride around and hit the slopes, you might say, and just have a lot of fun. So
it was an absolute blast. We really enjoyed it. I'll be posting stories later of all the craziness. You're definitely going to hear a lot of the kids and myself and even Andrew just going because the lake bottom is just rockiness.
Yeah, it is true. I almost wiped out right before. I was like, man, if I wipe out and end up in the hospital the night we're supposed to do this again. So, but yeah, guys, we wanted to actually sit down and do kind of a more official show. We're going to be doing this every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and really want to, we're wanting to kind of, tonight's all about testing everything, kind of checking how everything works, seeing how we can interact with you guys while also having some video assets and stuff that we play with. Eventually, the idea is to do this, have how-to sections, question and answer sessions, or sections, maybe even a few skits or something like that if we can work those in. That's actually the part that I'm probably the most nervous about, is trying to be funny. So
Is that naturally? You don't even have to try.
I'm funny to you, which I'm glad, but but yeah, it's fun. I'm really excited about this. Just kind of doing a late night show-esque kind of thing, but all mushroom centric, and bringing you guys, some of that excitement back. The past year has been pretty hard on me. For about the past year, 6 months ago, so about a year and a half ago, things really started not being super fun for me, and I started really just kind of pushing things down and just getting into the survival mode. As you guys know, that we hit the warehouse, we got the warehouse keys 7 days or something like that before COVID hit. And so it was all warehouse build, scale the business up, and build this place out all through COVID. And that was not easy.
No.
And really, I guess it was the stress of that kind of was the root of some of my health problems. But I've just kind of kicked back a little bit. Got back to a lot of things I love, like breeding mushrooms and a lot of the science behind this. Sat down with several textbooks, and I've just been reading every day. And then working out and just getting my health back. So that's really where we're at. Now it's exciting to be able to bring some of that stuff back to you guys. Some of the things that we've been working on. the new arc for the business. But before that, let me just test some video assets and just kind of tell you guys where I've been at via a video real quick. And let's just see how this works. Let's really hope for no technical difficulties. That's what I've been fighting all week, trying to set this stuff up. So, welcome to the MushRune Cast, a journey into the heart of the mushroom world. But first, let me take you back to how it all began. Mushroom farming, for me, was a leap into the unknown, a fringe business akin to the Wild West. It was an avenue where liberty, freedom, and being my own boss all converged. A chance to carve my path in an immature industry, unshackled from constraints. But somewhere along the way, the pursuit of livelihood took precedence. The thrill faded, the freedom eroded, the focus shifted, and the adventure turned into a routine. That's when I realized I needed to reclaim that joy, the liberty that sparked my passion for mushrooms. And so, the MushRune Cast, well, it's born. A platform not just to share knowledge, but to rediscover that open, fun-loving spirit. It's a journey back to the roots, to being open-minded, less stressed, more open-sourced, and just a lot more go with the flow. Here at the Mossback Mushroom Syndicate, we aren't your conventional players in the mushroom realm. We're what some might call the villains. The ones who don't just follow the rules. We challenge, we experiment, and we share. Our information isn't what's hoarded, like some dragon on a pile of gold. It's a gift to our network and beyond. So join us as we delve deeper into that fungal universe, as we reclaim our roots, or hyphae, and explore uncharted territories. The MushRune Cast, a celebration of freedom, community, and the exhilarating world of mushrooms and exploration. So stay tuned for more discoveries, adventures, and a whole lot of mushroom magic. So keep spawning culture, y'all. Listen here, bub. Because today, we're talking about liquid cultures, a schnick, and how you can save money buying our bulk kit. All right, so no technical difficulties except the backwards. Oh man, it didn't look like it was backwards on the MushRune Cast stuff that I had. That kind of zipped in, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go back and check that. But I think that I forgot to flip the footage.
You'll fix it.
I'll fix it.
It'll be better next time.
We'll do it in post. No, we won't do it in post. This is live. We'll do it live. But yeah, so that's kind of where I've been at, guys, is I've just been back where, surviving kind of took over. And mushrooms kind of became that job that I got into mushrooms to escape. I wanted to get, I know a lot of mushroom people. We like being... Oh my gosh, how was that not silent? I'm going to silence everything. Mute it all. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. This is amateur hour, and we're gonna get better at this. I promise. Anyways, I was just getting to the point where surviving was really taking up all my energy, and I was just kind of not really taking care of myself, and we got to that point where I fell kind of out of love with mushrooms. They just became a job. I mean, you've been in this long enough, that happens. And I've seen it happen time and time again with a lot of people. It's happened to me a couple of times. So, I don't know. I know Samantha's felt it before.
I experienced my own sense of burnout for sure. I think everyone does whenever they're in an industry for 10 to 12 years. And so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it just kind of becomes that humdrum feeling. But being able to get back to things that we love, things that I've been interested in, is really, what's funny is I'm not even actually sure that I'm into mushrooms for mushrooms. even though I find them absolutely fascinating. And there's like 15 million different types, which means you would think I would never get bored. And never underestimate ADHD's capacity to be bored. Samantha knows what I'm talking about. So, but it's you actually, I just saw B. Hendricks said money is a byproduct of your true life's mission. It's kind of true. Things are easier when I feel easier, when I feel at ease, when I feel confident, when I feel good, when I feel happy. So, these occasional burnouts that happen never really worried me much. But this last one, we got to be pretty serious. I'm not going to say it was a midlife crisis because I'm not at my midlife yet, but because I'm going to live to be 400 on Mars. But we're going to have... we got to fall back in love with this stuff, I really got into mushrooms in part because I wanted to provide good, clean food for my family. I mean, that's really where I started at, was like, I was at home, Samantha was working, and I was raising a garden, rabbits, geese, chickens, ducks, everything, fish, and mushrooms. Just like I read about this thing, and then I started reading Mycelium Running by Paul Stamets, which was a really good book on really low-tech ways of growing mushrooms, and that's how I started, was buying stuff in, making mother patches in my garden, growing those out, doing logs, then simple straw bags, and then it just kind of ballooned, or mushroomed, we'll say. Samantha likes the puns.
Do you like the puns?
But, it just kind of mushroomed into this beautiful thing, so... and of course, I'm amazed by the beauty. I mean, you can see behind us, we've got bags brought in, we've got... Over here, you can't see, but there's just tons and tons of bags. We're doing lots of experimentation again, which has always been my thing. Is I just really like getting in and doing experiments. But the most exciting thing to me is probably the breeding program combined with the bioprospecting program, because the bioprospecting program brings in the wild stuff and the new genetic material to work with. And man, some of the strains I'm about to release are just so freaking cool. We got those in blocks right now, or about to go in blocks to get pictures of out of the grow room and bring those to you guys on offerings, but or put them on offer on the website. With that, I really think the breeding is the part that has most excited me, just because that's what I've always done. Ever since I was a kid, my mother really kind of fostered that she gave me a place in her garden. I remember it was just below the steps. Right above where the water hose was. It was kind of a plot that, you give a kid. Like, I recognize that now. But she allowed me to plant more. And really what it was is I wanted to grow morning glories. And my mom didn't want morning glories to take over the garden. So she gave me this spot. But they could also travel up the steps and stuff. And I would just always save the seeds for my favorite colors. Buy new colors in, put them in. And then just always save my favorites. I had roly-polies or isopods or whatever... Yankees call them. I don't know.
I don't know what Yankees call them. Why would you say that? But yeah, I mean, that's something that you still do. You still, we have morning glories off the back porch next to the steamer. Yep. And there's colors I've never seen before in a traditional packet of seeds, so it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm about to do that with my morning glories, and I do that with Samantha. I've done that with peppers and tomatoes and fish and all kinds of stuff. Like, that's really just what I've always been into. Pill bugs. Someone said pill bugs.
Pill bugs.
Yeah, pill bugs. There we go. And so, I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, "What is a pill bug?" And so I was like,
we'll need to ask Seth or someone else, from up north that could say it, but we have it here, which is one of the wonderful things about this podcast, is bringing everyone together from all over the place, which is super exciting and remarkable and just a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, like a sense of community, and that's kind of like that video said, freedom and community. That's really the two things I was after.
Yeah.
Hearth and home, right? And mushrooms really kind of brought that. They've actually provided that many times over for us. I mean, how many times? Like, I don't know. We the factory never did us so well. So. And the business is getting bigger. Like, I'm really excited to be pushing it this year. Speaking of the breeding and the bioprospecting, that is what, starting January 1st, we are pushing. I'm hoping to have not only this show going fully by January 1st, every Thursday night, which I'm hoping to have it started now, other than holiday stuff, but to be all technical difficulties and a show format really laid out by January 1st, as well as a new website release January 1st. So hopefully that doesn't crash on us.
Put me on the spot here.
I am putting you on the spot for sure.
It's gonna be amazing though. I'm hoping you will think that it is as amazing as I am thinking that you will think it. So I've put a lot of work into organizing it in such a way that it's going to be easy to navigate, and you guys will be able to just see the pictures, and the pictures will be really nice and clear, and yeah, I'm super excited.
I'm excited. Like I've been watching it get built behind the scenes, and she's been working on it for a while. The big thing that we're trying to do is simplify. Like we want a website that is easy, light, and make it where take all the guesswork out of it. I don't like, our website's got some complexities where it's just like layer of solutions layered on more solutions layered on until things have kind of gummed up.
And menus layered on menus.
Right.
This new one will just have one solid menu and a genetics section, so you can go straight to genetics and then choose by color.
Yep. I mean, and that's really what we want to be about for you guys going forward is genetics and education. Genetics and culture building. Hey, Samantha, do you want to go look or go see why the dog is going insane?
Yes. Teddy Retz.
Teddy's having his Retz moment right now. His Teddy Retz, as Samantha calls him. Well, while my co-host is gone, yeah, it's just I'm very excited to be back into it. I'm very excited to be pushing strain. Like I've got a whole catalog of strains that'll be listed on the new website rather quickly after its release. And we have been just really behind the scenes breeding and testing strains. So I've got several wild ones that are about to go out. We're hoping, like I said, to open up before, like several live streams ago, to open up a whole section where it's just wild genetics. And then our curated, selectively bred stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to make sure that we become that for you. I want to be the best genetics company out there. And we're going to start offering everything in plates, slants, liquid cultures, and grain spawn. So hopefully every item in our archive, our library, and we've got a massive, something like 300 strains. They won't all be released at once. It's going to take me time. But they will all be on offer in each one of those ways. So Funkin says, will this show be available for download? That's a good question. And I made a mistake this time of not recording it, so I'm going to have to rip it back off of YouTube. But I will make it for download. It'll at least be able to be streamed. Like after the live stream's over, YouTube will have it plastered up. Funkin, if you don't mind, in the chat, just tell me where would you like to see it downloadable from? Like, where would you want me to post this? And I will start trying to, at every single live stream we have, do a recording that also then gets posted. I figure Spotify is probably a good... Yeah, Falcor said Spotify, so I figure Spotify is probably a good one to go with, since it's got the video aspect. We all good, Samantha?
All is well.
Okay.
It is Seth and Mondo with the U-Haul.
Oh!
So they're here.
Oh, MushRune Media just showed up.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, MushRune Media is on the premises, so, as well as Mondo. But yeah, Spotify seems like a good place to put it. We'll see about that. I know Spotify's got the video aspect of it. The show I don't think is going to make much sense without the video aspect. It's going to be pretty vid heavy, image heavy. And so I'm not really quite sure where all is going to post with video capabilities. But Funkin, I will look into it. Speaking of cool stuff, Samantha already has this on the current website. But actually, why don't we turn to the show sponsor for the evening? Samantha, do you know who tonight's sponsor is?
No.
Well,
you sprung this up on me.
I did bring this. Samantha doesn't know my plan at all. So, and I like it that way. Well, Let me introduce you all to tonight's sponsor. It is Samantha Reed. And here we go. There we go. That's tonight's sponsor. That's Samantha. She didn't know she was sponsored tonight's show, but hey, look,
No.
I did it right. I can see it. I did it right. I flipped that image. Take that, Josh.
You did do it right. Good job. Also, thank you guys for all the support on buying those t-shirts. It's been amazing. So
It really has. Samantha honestly didn't think that people would buy her artwork.
yeah, well,
This is why I say that artists should never be in charge of selling their work. Artists should always... Yeah, I caught that stink face on camera. I wanted you guys to see what everyone thinks she's so sweet, but then I wanted you to see what she's like behind the
I
scenes.
am sweet.
But artists should never be in charge of selling their own product, right? Because they don't value... They both overvalue and undervalue their work at the same time. So...
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see this stuff's working, guys. Like, I honestly expected us to have to figure out a little bit more of this. So I'm like moving faster through the show than I expected. But there's a lot of segments I want to add. Like, I want to add a contamination segment. I have a microscope cam that I can do live streams with. I'm going to do grow room cams. I've got, did I say contamination series? I want to do a how-to series. I'd like to start doing some skits. One of those is, questions you get at the farmer's market. And I'm sure everyone who's been to a farmer's market knows those same 3 questions. Samantha, go. What's the first question?
Are these edible? Are these real? Are those mushrooms?
They're too pretty to eat.
No, eat them, please. Please.
They look like flowers.
They do look like flowers, though.
Well, they do. And we've actually had our mushrooms featured in a celebrity wedding. We're not allowed to say who it was.
Wait, what?
Who was? Well, I guess we can't say what the celebrity wedding at Blackberry was, right? Where our mushrooms were featured.
No.
Yep, we can't tell. But they were even in a private ceremony over at Blackberry Farms.
It was beautiful.
It was, and they specifically used our gold oysters. We grew gold oysters specifically for flower arrangements, which was cool. But
it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was super gorgeous. I think on Samantha's Instagram, if you go way back, it's like 2 years ago now, she ended up having some photos just like of the roof and some of the display, I think. Is that right?
Somewhere.
Okay.
I'll have to go back and dig those back up.
Yeah. Teddy's still got his reds going on. Excuse me. Got a bug in my throat. Not for real.
Not a pill bug.
Not a pill bug. Not any kind of bug, really. Just an itchy throat. But yeah, I mean, if there's any sort of segments you guys want to see on the show, any sort of how-tos or whatever, I will be using the Discord and Patreon a lot. I will be doing votes every week on upcoming segments for me to work on. For the show, we'll be working on how-tos, and so I'll be able to... I've got an overhead camera rig that I've built, just like I had before, a long time ago, where I could, basically show you guys how to do work right here on the table, without having to really worry about the flow hood and all that kind of stuff, or getting the camera in the laboratory and anything like that. Like, the studio setup will have me be able to really handle this a lot better for you guys. So, for some reason, my chat seems to be frozen.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Okay, maybe we're good. Let's see. I don't really have anything else to go on, so if people want to do a question and answer session for now, we can probably really just work into that. I want to make sure we have question and answer sessions every single episode that we ever do, so that people really just have a chance to have their answered. I want people to have access. So that's really what I'm working on right now, is making myself as accessible to people as possible. So, test.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, exception to the rule. And thank you, Jeremiah. I appreciate it. I'm a big fan of anyone who's a big fan of mine. Right, Samantha?
Yes.
She knows I like that celebrity. Oh, we didn't even go over... I haven't even talked about the festivals, really, that we went to. Like, we've not done much since then. Samantha, you want to give your... I don't know, your... Okay, let's break this up. We can't just go through it all. So, let's start Georgia Mushroom Festival. What was your impression of the Georgia Mushroom Festival?
I thought the night hike in the dark was amazing.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty badass.
That was by far my favorite part. The vendors were awesome. We really got to go in there and mingle with everyone and get to meet people that, you know, had seen us and met us way before. So it was awesome we were recognized quite a bit.
Isn't that
so
the
it was
weird
nice
part,
to go
though?
in and actually, you know, they're like, we know you. I was like, yes, I don't know you, but I am happy to get to know you. So it was just amazing. And then just seeing familiar faces too, people that we have on the Discord, like actually getting to go in and meet everyone. The wares were gorgeous. We ended up camping out in the RV, the countryside, the view was just lovely. We got to play in the creek and swim with the kids, and it was a beautiful spot. And then going to the market side of things and getting to talk with everyone there, like it was just, I'm more introverted, so I was a bit definitely kind of nappy sleepy after it, but I was just the whole time all the visual stuff, just I couldn't soak up enough. So I really liked that. There was a lot of thought put into, you know, just the kind of layout and aesthetic of it. There were some technical difficulties, so I was bummed out about those, and I know the speakers were equally bummed out, but you know, everything, just like we did in the beginning, everything has its, you know, little hiccups and from time to time. So
Well, and talk about I thought getting all this stuff ready for this was complex enough, but can you imagine trying to put together basically the Georgia Mushroom Festival was 2, maybe 3 festivals in one to me. Like it really ended up being a music festival, but the music festival was separate than the Mushroom Festival, and the Mushroom Festival was really kind of separate from, I would say, a lot of the educational stuff. There was educational stuff in, but those kind of got mixed up. I actually didn't get to go to any of the talks I wanted to go to because I think a single power cord. They didn't have that single power cord, and it ended up meaning that one full stage couldn't be used, so they had to double up their speakers. I got to see from Fungal Academy. What is his name? Can you remember his name?
I cannot. We saw so many people.
I know. Not Felix. I can't remember if he does all the teaching from Fungal Academy. He gave a really nice talk on the origination of mushrooms, the basic biology, their ecological benefits. That was a really good one to go to. We got to go to Sydney Over Singleton's dying. Yeah, mushroom dying. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like getting to watch him.
That was my other favorite.
Yeah.
Of course, anything with pigments, anything with color, anything with...
Oh, yeah.
That was something I really enjoyed.
Yeah, well, no wonder the artist, you know, the artist finds pigments interesting. Who would have known?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was really, really good. Got to go finally meet Alan Rockefeller face to face, which was nice, and get to go on his night walk. That was really badass. We actually have a Hericium that a lady found on the night walk, and it's now the night walk Hericium that'll be going on the website fairly soon as well.
Well, she was very kind to share. Like,
She
we were
was.
like, hey, could we have a small piece of that? And we kind of explained the whole thing. Andrew cloned it kind of on site with a small Nomad HEPA filter. You'll have to say that.
Yeah, from
but,
Lab Rats Flow Hoods. They had to use their little Nomad model.
But yeah, that was really neat to me.
Excuse me. Yep.
You okay?
Yeah.
Are you dead, Mon?
Falcor, you were asking about the mug. This is not a mushroom mug. If you look at it here, this is what's called a god mask. So it's like Norse Celtic kind of artwork. This is the Dwarven King. So this is supposed to be a dwarf. This is his like mustache and beard. So all of this knotwork is like just his mustache and beard.
Do you remember the artist that you got it from?
It was an artist out of Finland that I got this from. Does it say on the bottom? It does not say his name. Nope. Sorry, man. It was a limited edition anyways. I think he only had like 4 of them. And I grabbed it because I am the Dwarven King.
It's got a little dwarf face.
It's got a little dwarf face on it. That's all. It doesn't have anything to do with.
Sade.
Yeah, I can look it up at some point, maybe Falcor, if you message me.
I will go through our accounting and I will figure out where we got this mug, and it will be in the link below.
It was hard to purchase because my bank kept shutting my card off every time I tried to pay for it because it was overseas. I had to go through PayPal. And then John asked, "Do we do workshops?" John, I haven't done a workshop in a while. We used to do them quite a bit. We have a massive parking lot and, of course, the warehouse. And so I've been thinking about starting up doing local workshops again. We absolutely do mentorships. Right now, the mentorship is on sale for $1,000 off if you go ahead, but from now until the end of the year. Save for holiday season stuff. But yeah, that's basically the only thing we have. I do have people pay me to come do basically like solitary workshops. I just charge them my consulting rate, and then they come down and work with me for the day or a few hours or whatever they want to do, and we just cover whatever they want. But I have been thinking about doing some log workshops, some how to grow mushrooms at home. I'm kind of re-obsessed a little bit with how mushrooms can make soil as soil generators, as you guys have probably seen on a video that I made.
And we do have a lot of that on site in the back and in the front as well, and how that feeds into other systems like the aquaponics and everything else. It's way more impressive in the summertime than right now. Everything is just dying. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we still do the extensive mentorships.
Yeah.
And then as far as the mug goes, Falcor said that he thought it was the Mossy Creek mug. That couple that made those for us is no longer making them.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that.
I'm sorry.
They're no longer making them. But I do have a MushRune Cast mug on the website, and so there is that if you want it. But
I do. I want a MushRune Cast.
There's a coffee company. It's like Bones Coffee or something like that. And I reached out to the artist that makes their mugs, and oh my goodness, I really, really would like for her to start a new line with us and for us, and she would ship straight from her studio, which would be fantastic.
So again, cool things in the works.
Yes.
Yeah, this is really, really exciting. Like, because even whenever I had Jackie, Tristan, and those guys, I was pretty burnt out from the build out and just oh my gosh, I probably spent like a year and a half, maybe 2, just kind of stuffing it down just a little bit longer, you know. And so even then, I wasn't able to hit it as hard as I would like. And right now, man, I'm feeling fighting fit, even though I'm fat, you know. But, and in fact, it's kind of weird. It's all starting to get a little loose. You guys don't need to hear that. I'm starting to shrink within my fat body, and it's weird. I'm going through an ugly duckling phase for sure.
You definitely got my shock face. Like, why would you say that too?
Yep. Samantha's always.
He's getting a lot of really candid looks. I need to.
You better police yourself, woman.
I need to tone it down a little bit.
That's where I'm in charge of the camera flipper. Flip.
Yes,
flip.
he is.
So, Anyways, okay, so this is obviously going to just us kind of giggling at each other and hanging out. But um, again, this is something that we want to do really really regularly. I want to push this through the website. I want to hit it hard. I want to be here for you guys every week, putting together assets. Though I may be gone sometime in the spring. There's some potential opportunities to travel out of country and potentially see some mushroom farms elsewhere, and I'm hoping to be able to take Samantha with me. We'll see. Uh, someone's got to man the fort. So, but other than those kinds of situations, and even then, if I can travel and just bring my laptop, it may just be a very simplified show, But we would want to be able to do all kinds of stuff for you guys. Bring genetics out, bring a lot of merch. Samantha's got a lot of artwork that's like backlogged that she's working through. She's working through, I don't know, trying to get, like, there's some cool t-shirt designs she's got, but the website takes precedence. So once we have the website out, hopefully the artwork will continue to flow. And then we've been spending a lot of time bioprospecting, and that's starting, the oyster season starting like right now for us. That's when we get our true oysters. So we'll be doing a lot of bioprospecting this season. Really, if I think about Christmas time, that's when I got like the N&G oyster from my Nana's place.
Yeah.
So that's really a big oyster season for us right now.
You've probably seen on Instagram as well. We've been releasing a lot of stories on just mountain biking and exploration and going through and just really having fun with the kids, getting out with everyone and the whole family, and just playing I Spy. Hopefully oysters and lots of oysters. But we've actually found quite a bit. I've been surprised.
My new favorite tool for mushroom hunting is the bike.
I agree.
You cover so much ground.
Oh, yes.
And you see so much. You're going slow enough that you can see detail, but you're moving fast enough you can cover a lot of ground. So, and we've got, I don't know how many reishi strains, Samantha. Like, we picked up one in Georgia.
Actually, two.
Two in Georgia. Yeah.
Two in Georgia, and then we picked up 2 lion's manes in Georgia. Right?
Yep, 2 lion's mane in Georgia.
And some turkey tail.
Yep. And then we have a local hunter here that hunts for me. Like, if he's out deer hunting, he just hunts. So he's found 3 new reishi strains for us there. I have found a couple of new reishi strains while biking. So we got a lot of reishi to work with. We got a wild enoki that's going into blocks right now. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited about that.
I'm very stoked about that one.
Yeah, that'll be my first wild enoki. And then we've got, the season for enoki should be starting up right now, big time as well. So it's gonna be interesting to have a lot of wild genetics going through, and of course the how-tos. I'm so excited. I want hopefully every live episode we do to do a single, like a 3-minute how-to video or something like that. Skinny says, started watching Mush videos about a month ago. Kind of binged your channel for a while. I'm happy to see you guys live. Well, hey man, we're happy to have you with us, Skinny. What are our top 4 mushrooms to grow for new growers? Well, that's a very open-ended question. But for new growers, well, it's also, I have to be like, well, why? Like where are you growing them, and how are you wanting to grow them? So like outdoors, I would do like oyster, wine cap, shiitake, and probably hericium. If we're going indoors, oysters would be number 1. I would do oysters, hericium, chestnuts, and potentially enoki. So
John said the blue oysters are the easiest.
It's pretty much the easiest, yeah. Unless you live somewhere warm. And certain blue strains. I've got a blue strain, somebody from the channel sent it to me from Austria. And so it's a wild blue oyster from Austria. It will not. It's the bluest blue I've ever seen. Like, it is dark black, almost looking from how blue it is. But it will not fruit in anything but the coldest temperatures we've got. Like, my grow room has to. I mean, we turn the heater on, but as cold as my grow room gets, so wintertime only. And I've got that one in the breeding program right now to pull that blue color out because I want to see what a non-watered down wild blue looks like when it's bred. Most people know that my first initial cross were elm oyster and blue oyster, the elm A and Lambert's 123 blue. My second crosses, the ones that have yielded probably the most strains you guys are familiar with, is North Spore Snow Oyster crossed with Lambert's 123 blue. And I want to see what a wild, undiluted blue does. Because that was a really good cross.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be breeding it to pretty much every white oyster I have, from the snow oyster to the snow goose to the N&G to the Miles oyster, all of the whites that we've got.
Going back to the easiest mushrooms to grow,
Yep.
I don't think that it's more difficult to grow Hericium or oysters. We grow oysters and Hericiums in the exact same grow room with the exact same specs. All of it's the same, except for Hericiums, we just do a single cross cut. It's just one single line. And then with the oysters, it's either, we used to do a square that was small, and now we do like a hinge cut. So it's just like a U.
Yep.
And it goes from there. But both are very easy to me. And I'd say most folks here in this chat would say something very similar.
Well, that's crazy to me too, but you're right. Like, Hericium is consistently in the easiest to grow category, both outdoors and indoors for me, and for most people. I'll put it to you this way, though. Hericiums, like lion's mane, are one of the easiest mushrooms to grow, but they're not the easiest to grow consistently. You have the Black Death that comes with it, which can wipe out a crop pretty quick. And you've got some temperature considerations. If you want a nice Hericium with good long teeth, that's very strain and environment dependent. So that's really the big thing there is finding the right strain for your grow room is pretty essential for growing Hericium. But, I mean, if you don't mind it being kind of a smooth, like snowball look, then that's usually just fine. You can grow a lot of different strains that way. And then as far as the easiest goes, yeah, I mean, I think, like, honestly, what I would do is I would tell people grow 3 different types of oysters and then a chestnut or a Hericium, or 2 different types of oysters and a chestnut and a Hericium. And my thought for that is, when I started breeding the oyster mushrooms, the big thing for me was I want to have the same sort of diversity of shapes, colors, tastes, and textures that the tomato grower next to me at market had. He's growing tomatoes. All of those tomatoes are the same species. Unlike us who grow oysters, the gold oyster is not the same species as the blue's not the same as the pink. What I wanted was the same species with as much diversity as we could offer. Because if you can grow oyster mushrooms in your grow room, then all of a sudden you can grow 3, 4 different types, and on your table it looks like you're growing 3 or 4 completely different types of mushrooms, right? So, like, one of Samantha's favorites is the House Mountain oyster. The House Mountain, it always looks, we call it the enoki of oysters because it always looks starved for oxygen. It just grows really long stems. They're delicate though, they're nice. And then, you have the fat bottom girls, we call them, the King Blue oysters. That kind, and the Old Road. There's a couple others that are about to be released, the Cumberland and whatnot. Then you've got some that are more pinkish and red and blue and brown, and it's just when you get all of those on your table, people don't realize that they're buying multiple types of oysters, and all of those oysters are just as easy to grow as the next one. And that's kind of the way I like to see it, is for beginners to get in and grow a bunch of different types of oysters, work their way into harder to grow oysters, work their way into longer turnaround stuff like chestnuts or even Hericiums, which are about the same turnaround time as oysters, but a little harder to grow, that kind of thing. So
I think the only extent of it being harder to grow is the fact that I think as a beginner, everything boils down to patience. And
Yeah.
chestnuts take a lot longer to incubate. And they do take a little longer to fruit in general. So there's this kind of timing, not throwing it away because of impatience, thinking that you've done something, because you think that you've done something wrong. You just have to have that little bit longer. Just when you think you're needing to throw it away, don't. It'll fruit.
How many times did we toss out chestnuts in the beginning, just have them fruit outside?
Yes, and then we thought, well, maybe they just really like it outside, and no, we just needed to wait a little longer in the grow room.
Or in the incubation, even like we would just wait until those bags started to produce. They're a Fialota, and Fialotas produce like this goo. The Miko, when it will produce little pins, but it will only produce pins where the orange goo is. And the chestnuts aren't the exact same way, but they're very similar.
They turn orange. They
yeah.
look like they're contaminated in a certain sense. They look a little stringy and weird. And then once you initiate the cut, then you've got these fuzzy little pin sets, and you're like, okay, that's interesting. And then you just let them grow. And then on the other exact opposite end is with the hericiums, you cut it before you think it's ready. You'll have this wispy, almost kind of fog-like, maybe not fog-like is the way to look. It looks like a really thin, wispy spider web growing throughout it. And what I do is I just press the sawdust in, and then I cut. That way it doesn't fall out. And you'll have a nice, big, fluffy cloud before you know it. So, and then oysters fall in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then with our strains, with our website, Andrew's done a really good job of picking mushrooms and breeding mushrooms that one can be blotch resistant. And in fact, in our fall pack, we have the deep blue sea, which I have seen grow out. We had a poor pasteurization cook one time because of our element. It went out mid-cook, but we continued the cook, didn't realize it until we went to the next one, did all the maintenance. But that whole batch, deep blue sea, kind of blotched out a little bit, and then encased the blotch, grew on itself, and King Blue was right next to it. And King Blue was struggling, as we all know. King Blue struggles a little bit with blotch. It's kind of a thing of King Blue. But
oh yeah,
pairing things that have a strength with something that has another strength.
Breed the weakness out.
Yep.
Yes, don't kill carrots. I have a Discord server. It's the Mossback Mushroom Syndicate. And we get people mainly through, if you do a consultation or mentorship with me, you can get in. You can also get in if you support us on Patreon. I think the lowest tier is like $3. So, for as little as that. Yeah. And then... we got an aloha from Maui, Hawaii. I probably butchered that. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. And what's up, Galaxy? So this is definitely live. It's not a premiere, but the big thing is that we definitely talk gourmets here, just so we don't get shut down by the big brother out there. But just so you know, a multi-spore syringe, if we're just talking like basic biology here, then you can absolutely do an all-in-one grow bag with that. The problem is that you're going to have a bunch of different strains. It's usually called PF Tech, but you could do it in bag or jar or whatever. And if you do that, you're going to have a whole bunch of different strains. They're going to fight each other, and what you're going to find is that you're going to have a lot of mushrooms, but they're going to be very little. They're not going to be very substantial most of the time. What you would do in that case typically is grab those, or hope that one has taken over, has been more aggressive than the others, and takes more territory. And then you can take that bit and use it as spawn, or you can use it, if you fruited it, then you can take it and try to clone it or something like that. Let's see. So yeah, you could absolutely do it all in one grow bag successfully that way. Um, and then John said, harvested some elm oysters from the woods behind my house that surprisingly fruited over 90 degrees. I didn't know they would grow in that kind of heat. They absolutely will. In fact, some of our strains, I was really surprised because I crossed North Spore Snows with Lambert's 123 Blue that produced the Mother of Pearl, BS26, and a couple of others like Cool Touch. But Mother of Pearl is one of the few strains I have that will fruit in 90-degree weather. It's definitely heat stressed when it does it, but it will absolutely go up to like 90 something.
It ends up being this gray color too.
Yeah.
In the winter, it's more of this really beautiful turquoise / kind of purple edges a little bit. I've seen multiple photos on social media from other grow rooms, from people who have purchased the strain from us, and same thing happens there, but in the high heat. And I've seen it go, golly, that one summer that our air conditioning went out, it was like 92, 93 degrees in the warehouse. And I've got a picture of that. That's actually the picture I have on the website of Mother of Pearl, because I really wanted to. I didn't want to put a picture on the website that is just so pretty that if it were to do anything else, you guys would be disappointed. So I put that picture on there, and it's definitely got this gray, almost translucent, paper-thin look to it, and I thought it was really pretty.
Oh, absolutely. And no, Galaxy, you didn't say anything wrong. I just wanted to make sure. I saw someone else say something, and I just want to make sure that you, before you did, just in case. We try to be pretty careful. I don't mean to single you out. We have. Oh my goodness, the stuff's coming in quicker than I can keep up with. So, failed miserably at shiitake mushrooms. I just don't have the patience to grow them. I understand.
They take forever.
They do take forever, especially, and 8 weeks is probably the fastest I've seen them really age well. But yeah, it's definitely going to be better if you can wait a full 12 weeks in incubation. So. And then, Galaxy, as far as not having a steel air box or a flow hood, the best way to really handle that stuff is through syringes, just like you were talking there. So,
autoclave your bags. Just inject with a syringe straight to it. And
yep. Yeah, that's exactly the way that I would do it there. But, I mean, you can build a steel air box pretty quick. Even a Sterilite bin with a white lid, you just flip it upside down, cut your holes in it, and you're usually good to go. But, I mean, just so you know, when I was in college, we did a lot of our lab work just out in the open air. And when I'm in the woods, if I'm working with dishes in the woods with no anything, just having to work open air, I work with my dishes upside down because spores are unlikely to like that. Let's see. Should Bear's Head look any different on an agar plate? Growth time on agar. So it's Hericium. So it depends. If you're coming from mycelium to mycelium, it usually is pretty quick. If you're cloning from a fruit, it will usually. One thing about Hericium is it will fruit on fruit on fruit on fruit before it's finally fine, I guess I'll give up fruiting and grow. And so that's kind of Hericium in a nutshell for me. Is that it wants to fruit no matter what.
It also doesn't seem to eat the coloring.
Not as quickly.
As quickly.
It does, but it takes a long time.
I have seen it grow across the plate super wispy and then form little fruits on the inside before it even completely consumes all the coloring.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely will. So oysters for us, when we do a transfer, they'll typically start to grow. By the time it's grown across the plate, there's a big ring on the interior where it has already consumed all the food coloring out of the dish. And Hericium doesn't seem to do so. It also tends to be wispier. So what I've seen with Hericium is the mycelium, when it gets going, will often be more aggressive than the other things, but it doesn't penetrate as deeply as quickly. So oysters pretty much just penetrate the substrate as they go, right? They really get every little nook and cranny just fine as they grow through that white wall. Whereas Hericium almost tends to send out more of an exploratory mycelium and then fills in behind. So, have I tried Dr. Mike's mushroom growth promoter? I think I have. Why are you laughing?
Just, I remember, I think some samples were sent to
Yep.
us. And then Cheryl at that time was our lab tech, and she was like, I'm not putting that in anything. She's like, I don't know what it is.
Well, it took me for a long time to finally get an answer as to what the stuff is. So, and that's something I didn't want to put it in until I had an ingredients list.
Which was her job, was to, make sure that everything was steady
Yep.
and clean.
Now that said, Hendrix, I have used it, and I saw no difference in side-by-side trials. So, what grain is best for lion's mane? The best grain for everything is oats, but I find a mixture to be even better. So, and if I do a mixture, we do oats and Milo, corn sometimes some wood, like that kind of stuff. When breeding, how long do you work on a strain until you feel confident enough to release it? So it is unlike weed or plants or anything else. What's really cool is once you have a strain, you don't have to work on it very long, right? You basically, what we do is some initial testing, and then some commercial testing. So we find something interesting, we bring it under cultivation, we grow it out, and go, okay, this is worth trying again, and then we'll do a commercial test, which will be, quite a few bags, larger clusters. And then get taste tests and that kind of stuff. Weights, if we can go through that. We go through and try to get, let's say you do 30 bags, you could try to get the weights off those 30 bags. And then do an average per 12-pound bag. Or average per pound of mushrooms coming off pound of substrate first flush. And then you can pretty much release it as long as you've got pictures, because everything's a clone. Unless you're working with psilocybin, in which case you can't. That's an illegal product, right? So you can't send strains typically through the mail or to other places, because if someone has those are already illegal, and they can't just sell those openly. They have to sell spores. So much like plants, where a strain is from seed to seed generation, you have to do the same thing with the illicit kind of mushrooms, right? You have to go spore to spore. Whereas with gourmets, we get to use the unique biology of mushrooms to clone, and then we can just clone that out. So we do clonal generations, but I don't really have to work on it other than cleaning it up, make sure that it's an isolated strain, that it's clean and under cultivation, and that it's worth growing. And then after that, we get to send those strains out. With peppers, if we were trying to breed a new pepper variety, Samantha and I would say 7 years, 7 seasons, 7 seed-to-seed generations, that kind of thing would be about how long it would take for me to stabilize a strain after a cross. Yeah, thank you, Marshall Artist. We enjoyed having you for sure. Is the hot redhead still lurking around? Who was a redhead? Are they thinking about Laura? Laura's more of a blonde?
Yeah.
I guess it was a reddish blonde. She's still around, like she's alive. And one of my friends is dating her daughter, but she no longer works for us. No, we actually have. We don't have any full-time employees at the moment. So pretty soon I'll be hiring a full-time employee here soon, just to come in and basically to do production work. I need blocks and I need grain. And Mondo is now being taken up more and more by mushroom media. So, about the mentorship, does the date have to be this year for the deal, or could I pay now and have a date in 2024?
We would have to arrange that independently from the website, because currently we use Acuity, and it does not upload the new calendar year until we hit that new calendar year.
Yeah, our automation kind of prevents us from doing that. However, I can manually schedule stuff. So sure, yeah. If you wanna do it now, and go ahead and schedule it now, then just email me. Or call us. Email is far better, and I will get back with you. We can send you a PayPal invoice, put it in the calendar manually. So absolutely.
And I know that's kind of some people do that as a tax write-off. You made a little too much that year and you just need to spend a little extra on education. And so we've had a few people do that, but we can absolutely make it within a certain calendar year for you.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to, between now and the end of 2023, get with me, schedule your day out for next year, and I'll do it for $1,000 off. So, you guys are such an awesome team. Thank you. And wealth of knowledge. I appreciate it. Fatty acids. Love your name, by the way. Cheers and thanks for everything from over the years. Are from a long-time lurker. Glad you're reclaiming the joy in your life and having fun doing so. Yeah, thank you. Me too. Me too, man. I feel younger. Like I feel more like myself than I have in a long time. That's been good. Do hens and ultrasonic humidifiers not pair well for the fronds? No, Jacob. As far as I know, I mean, when we grew them, they grew great in the humidified environment. The best way we ever did it was just to grow it in bags and to grow what we called antler velvet mushrooms. But it's really just the antler form of the maitake polypore. But as far as growing them and you grow them, the trick with polypores, chicken of the woods, maitake, so hen of the woods, reishi, turkey, is that polypores spend a lot more time as fruit than stuff like oysters, harissa, that kind of stuff. Your grow room will not have as quick of a turnaround, so you need a drier environment. You need an environment that is more dry. So and they are not as air hungry. So with polypores, you can actually slow your air down. And this is one of the reasons why I love polypores. I'm actually doing this because my energy savings on polypores is amazing compared to oysters. Though I still am growing quite a bit of oysters. And have to for the breeding program. But the testing. But polypores, you can have a slower airflow, much drier room, with humidity spikes, and you will get much better results with them. But maitake also takes a long time in incubation. So Paul Stamets has got a really good section on maitake in his black book. And I think T.R. Davis has a really good video on maitake as well. Let's see. Thanks. Yeah, you're very welcome. Never thought of holding the petri dish upside down. Yeah, that's one of the... I don't know where I figured that out. I think that's one of those things that I actually figured out rather than was told. Kind of like the agar needle biopsy for liquid cultures. With grains getting expensive, what has been your experience with using popcorn? Popcorn, I don't like corn by itself, just in general. Corn's too sugary and not enough protein.
That pop in the autoclave?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's, I've seen people do it. It's you just wet it and steam it under pressure. Maybe that's what it is, Samantha. Maybe it's the atmospheric pressure, or not atmospheric pressure, that keeps it from popping. But I don't really like popcorn. The grains I go with, go to Tractor Supply, or I can't imagine that popcorn is cheaper than like wild birdseed. You can go to Walmart and get like a 30-pound bag of wild birdseed for like $20 maybe, or cheaper.
Oh, when we first started, that's what everyone was using, was wild birdseed.
Yeah.
Because it's what was available easily.
Oh, yeah. But for me, oats, like I just go to Tractor Supply. I get a 50-pound bag of oats for, was it, Samantha? How much is it now?
It actually just went down.
Right, yeah. It used to be 18.
I want to say that it's 12.
Okay. So 50 pounds for $12. Milo's a little bit more expensive. And you can get feedstock corn, like feed corn for like $8 for 50 pounds at Tractor Supply, I think. So certainly you can find somewhere around you that'll sell you something cheaper than popcorn, even if you want corn still. But I found that my grain spawn performed better. It leapt off the grain into the substrate much better off of oats and Milo, or even just sawdust spawn. Honestly, if I would rather use sawdust spawn than corn spawn. So, Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it. So, someone's last name is Odin from Kentucky. Welcome to the chat. I think the dry kernel is needed for it to pop. That's what I was thinking too, Marshall. Is that it's? I think that it had to be dry. Jeez.
It's just a question.
Yeah, we don't know the physics of popcorn. The most I know about popcorn is from the Swedish chef when he makes the shrimped popcorn. So, well, guys, it is now 9:06, and this has been a great test show. Thank you guys so much for it. I'm really Dr. Jordan Duckworth showed up right as I'm signing off. But yeah, guys, this was a great test. Thank you for being here, and kind of assisting with this, allowing us to talk about why we're wanting to do this, the new way we want to go with the website and the show, the channel. I'm gonna stop doing as many vlogs and really focus on doing this with the different segments that we're gonna be doing. So. It's just going to make it a lot easier for me to produce a lot more content if I can keep it based around the studio. Not saying I can't take you guys out on field trips. No, he said he's been here for 30. Awesome. Good. I'm glad you got to join us.
This is your order behind us, by the way.
That's the next bit.
Yep.
So, yeah, I appreciate you guys. The assets, I'm glad that you guys caught that it was backwards on the one. I'll make sure to fix that next time. We'll reverse that. And then we'll have hopefully more for you guys to go. If you guys want to vote on the topics for next week or the upcoming weeks, please get on to Patreon with us. And we'll get you guys the polls released. So I plan on releasing a poll tomorrow. That'll probably be for the 2 weeks because I don't think that I can make something within a week. That could actually be a little bit stressful if I do it that quick of a turnaround. But I want to include you guys. I want to make this a very interactive thing. I think that I love the interview shows I've seen by Myco Geeky, Mycotrophic, the Curative Podcast. Oh my goodness, who am I forgetting? I don't even the Myco Wizards and stuff like that. I love seeing the interviews and the cool things, but I was thinking that we could really have a cool interactive show, right? Where we get to actually just hang out with you guys. That'd be more fun for me. So James is saying snap. You missed it, James. You missed it. I put it up yesterday.
I would also like to point out that we didn't talk about the Oklahoma Festival.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Do you want to stay on for a little bit then? We can stay on for a little bit. I've eaten enough potatoes.
I don't want to mention one without mentioning the other.
You're right. You know what, guys? Screw it. We're doing it live. Again, we're gonna stay on for another hour.
Plus, James, he just got here.
James just showed up. I know. I couldn't. I can't abandon James. He's too pretty. Okay.
Look at all those sad faces.
Okay, so here's the thing. Samantha got to go first on the Georgia Mushroom Festival. I'll go first on the Oklahoma Mushroom Festival. How's that?
Yes.
Okay. I took 2 steps out of the car and immediately got recognized. That was kind of cool. And then spent the entire the entire time at the Oklahoma Mushroom Festival getting marauded by people. Also pretty cool. However, it makes it really hard to go anywhere and do anything when you got that kind of level of celebrity. So thank you guys. And also, I don't know what to do with my anything.
Yeah, and Ben Dooling from Sporadic was with us. So basically, Ben and I were like, okay, well, Andrew's being bombarded. We're going to go explore and play. So
yeah, they got to go do whatever they wanted.
We got to go visit bonsai filtration, just performance mushrooms, and just all these different. Oh man, there's again so many people I can't remember them all, but it was really fun. So I don't know what all Andrew did the entire time. but it's okay.
I talked to people, which was also really cool, actually. I got to meet a lot of people I'd never heard of. I got to meet a lot of people I have heard of. I got to hug Eric Myers for about 30 seconds before he took off.
Yes, you got to see Eric Myers.
Yep. And I just talked to people the whole time. I made a lot of connections. I got to meet Pooh God, and I got to meet Mr. Poopy Substrates, and Ms. Vicious, and Bear. And I bought so many drinks at the after party that I was a little scared that I would be, walking diagonally when trying to walk straight. But it was really fun. It was a really good time. Other than the homeless attack.
I've been red this whole time, Dr. Jordan.
Yeah, Samantha's just rosy cheeked.
Oh yes.
She's my Mrs. Claus. But do you remember the homeless attack? The Oklahoma Festival. So we get sit down and eat this restaurant.
Not fondly.
Well, so Oklahoma City, by the way, is gorgeous. I was really, you hear about all these different cities. You don't really hear much about Oklahoma City, and it was a fantastic place. Like, great food. One of the coolest bowling alleys I've ever been to. Definitely Big Lebowski vibes. We got to... cool. Who's that makes the dinosaur poop? Twisted Tree.
Like I said, there are so many names. Yeah. I cannot remember them.
It was Twisty Tree. She's somehow...
Twisted Tree or Twisty Tree?
It's a Twisted Tree.
Okay.
That was just my southern accent coming through. Twisted Tree's wife, or the female half of Twisted Tree, ended up wearing this, 60s, looking dress that fit perfectly with the bowling alley. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. She's like, I did not do this on purpose, which was hilarious to us. But yeah, so we got to go have fun. Oh, I got to meet old Dirty Julian and Chris. Do you remember Chris's last name? The one that tried to take our room?
Do not ask me names.
Okay. Anyways.
I can remember faces. I can remember what they were wearing. I can remember the color of their eyes, strangely enough, but I cannot remember their names.
Well, so I got to go to Full Canopies talk. I got to go to Doma. Doma's talk was really cool. And basically just got to learn a lot of cool stuff while at the same time really getting to hang out with some people. And then we were there with Spore Addict, who then came back home with us for the Mossback get-together. So it was just like one thing every weekend for a while. So we had that the Mossback get-together. And then, Jacob, who put the Oklahoma Festival on. I got to give a shout-out to Jacob real quick. Best host I've ever seen.
Well, and for that to be his very first, that it was
so well organized.
Like a pro.
Yep.
I was very impressed.
Oh, so well organized, everything in its place. And I don't know how he was with, we showed up, we didn't really do anything. We were just special guests, which was super cool. From what I understand from the people that he had responsibility over, though, he was really good to work with. And
that means a lot.
It does. And for the people that he provided for, he was phenomenal. So I got to give a shout out to Jacob. Oklahoma Mushroom Festival was absolutely worth it. Would probably be worth it again. I'm not sure which ones we're doing. 10 out of 10,
highly recommend.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I don't know which festivals I'm going to next year. I've gotten several offers to do speaking engagements. So I will figure out how to fit as many in next year as possible. Having the old mobile lab, the RV, definitely makes it a lot easier for us to show up at some places, especially nearby. The NAMA foray, if they do the national foray again this year, I really want to go to the foray. So if anybody wants to meet me there, that'd be a good place to go. Just go ahead and sign up for as soon as they release. Then after that, we did the Mossback get-together, which if you want to know much about that, you're going to have to come to next year's, which will be in October. The only way to get to that is to be in our Discord. So there's that. And then the weekend, was it the weekend after that, Samantha, that we did the Albright Grove?
Yes.
That was cool.
That was a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go again. My legs felt like Jell-O after that. But hopefully second time, third time around, they will get stronger.
I died. I'm pretty sure I died on that trail. I'm fat and out of shape. And I thought, I'm back in shape. I can do this. No. No. It was rough. It may not have been so bad if I hadn't stopped every 2 feet to catalog mushrooms for iNaturalist and then collect samples to bring back and clone. We got so many strains. We got at least 3 Hericium strains that took from the old growth forest. I cannot wait to test those. Several polypores. None of we tried to get a bunch of hemlock, Ganoderma, but none of those took. They were way too buggy. We just couldn't. They had no life left in them.
Yeah, they were too old.
Yeah.
Sadly.
We know now to show up about a month earlier to get those.
Yeah. Found some cat tongue fungus.
Oh yeah, we got a cat tongue. I don't know. I've got to get it DNA tested to know if it took. So, and then we got several Trametes species that need to be all run through. So it's super cool. The Albright Grove was amazing. It was a great bioprospecting trip. I plan on being there 3 or 4 more times. Surprisingly, my knees took the trail just fine. It was my hips, which I've always had problems with my right hip. But, and then after that, Samantha, what did we do?
After the Albright Grove?
Yeah.
We've been biking a lot in Cumberland Mountain. And
Cumberland Mountain, yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
we've been exploring the lake bottoms too, so that's been fun.
Yep. And then we got some samples from right there at the lake bottom. I don't know. It's super cool. And then other than that, I've just been trying to play catch up in the lab. However, how many packages did we get out today, Samantha?
We got 15 out today, 23 out the day before that, and I think at least 17 cases, green swan cases out before that.
Thank you, guys.
It was a week of insanity before that, so I'm still getting orders put together and still getting them out. So we've had a few packages lost in the mail. It is what it is. I'm resending those, so those are being remade and being resent. So there's that.
Yeah.
Major bummer.
Freaking post.
Super frustrated.
John says Myers has contributed a lot to the potential of small mushroom farms. I agree.
Yeah.
He's done a lot. He's definitely got that engineering mind that I lack. I feel like I excel at the biology side, but I definitely, when it comes to engineering stuff, I am not the guy. You're not that guy, pal. You guys can tell how much memes I like, how much digital content I consume. Hey, Catherine, I'm glad. I meant to mention that to you earlier on Patreon, that you should follow the link to YouTube if you want to be able to comment. For some reason, you can watch it on there, but you can't engage. And I'm not sure what's up with that, but we know that next time. So, yeah, there you go. You said, I know next week. Yeah, we'll try to make sure that happens. And then Falcor says Mycotrophic did a podcast with Jacob and was talking about being a 2-day event. Yeah. I mean, for us, it already was, and I'm hoping that see, that's the thing, is Jacob puts on such a good festival that part of me is just like, screw it. I should just do a speaking engagement there, and there we go. That would solve both problems. So, yeah, there we go. Maybe, hey, if you guys come to the Oklahoma Festival, maybe I'll be there speaking.
Mentioned doing it in Tulsa.
That's right. They're going to do it in Tulsa next. That's a great
I don't
idea.
know for sure. You might want to.
That's what they told me.
Okay. So I said mentioned. I don't want to lock anybody in anywhere.
Yeah, we got that. And then, yeah, I mean, Jacob's been, dude, he's a freaking killer. So, maybe next time I'll actually try to just drive out in the mobile lab, make a couple of days of it, a week or something. I don't think it's that far. It's maybe a 13-hour drive. So, Samantha's face. 13-hour drive. And then, yeah, Dustin, glad to see you on here again, man.
Which is nothing for most people.
Samantha and I are homebodies.
We better stay for at least a week or two to make that worth it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Go visit everybody.
And then Jacob Culver's with us from Texas. Well, welcome, Jacob. Glad to have you. And John said, I hear you on the trails. I'm also on the fluffy side because me and food get along very well. Yeah, dude, I get along super well with food. Like, food's probably my best friends, other than, Charles and Ben, and my wife, of course, who is my bestest friend of all.
Aww, that's very sweet.
Look, she is blushing now. I'm new since February. I watch you a lot, and Mike from Southwest and Eric Myers, and thank you so much. Glad to finally figure it out. Love you guys. Thank you very much. And yeah, I appreciate you watching us. Eric and Mike are both really good people to watch. As far as I know, I've never met Mike in person. Mike and I have quite a few people in common, just like Eric and I have quite a few people in common. Eric and I have spoken directly online a few times, but really, I mean, the first time I met him, the first thing was, who is this really tall guy hugging me? And then as soon as I realized it was Eric, I was like, oh, it's Eric. And then I was like, dude, he just straight up hugged me. Like, that's super cool. I never realized Eric was such a friendly guy. So,
well, we almost missed him too. He had left
a
piece of artwork inside the building. He was coming back for it and saw us. So yep. How lucky was that?
That my one regret from the Oklahoma Mushroom Festivals. I didn't have time to hang out with Eric Myers. So, however, I've heard from lots of people that Mike of Southwest is really good people, and that's something that's really important to me, is to support not just cool or exciting people, but good people. And from what I understand of Eric and Mike, they're both good people. So, and they've done really good services. What I would like to see is, I'd like to see Mike on YouTube a lot more. Eric too, but I think Eric's pretty busy with his build out and all that kind of stuff. So, what? Did you just light that on fire? Did it really? I've been trying to figure out how to get that to light. Did you really get it to light?
No.
Samantha, if you did, I would like to know how to do that.
I mean, why would you leave a pencil torch over here within my grasp?
Show me how to do it.
You turn it.
What do you mean you turn it? Turn it which way? Oh, that's just the gas. Did you not get it? How do you ignite it?
Stop playing with that and go back to what you're supposed to do.
Turn above valve to light.
I started this. I should not have started this.
But how do you light it?
Andrew.
Well, I've been trying to figure that out for weeks, folks. And she just does it somehow. Well, let's see. Mike is a giant. Yeah. What do you mean, like actually? Like he's 7 feet tall or something? Or do you mean Mike's a giant in the industry? You live in Arizona, Catherine? Yeah, well, we could probably still meet. I mean, you can always come up and do a mentorship. Or if we do a festival in the Southwest sometime. Like that, I miss the desert so much. It's been years since I've seen a desert.
James said squirreled.
Did he really? Yeah. Well, it's ADHD for you. That's what makes me fun, right? Is my inability to get to a point. But anyways, my point is, I would love to go back to the desert, and maybe one day we'll be down there. If we are, we'll announce it. Like anytime we're going to travel, where I want to be accessible, we will announce that. So, Mike hasn't been active on his channel for a while. He's good people. Yeah, my understanding is that there's a film crew that he was working with, which is why his stuff looked so buttery and so good. But I think that crew is too busy doing something else now, and I mean, really, I think Mike should just pull what we're doing here. I mean, work with what can. If he did it with a cell phone, people would still watch Mike on cell phone footage. I mean, it's 4K stuff. I mean, Mike's.
It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it.
Just do it. Oh, that's Samantha saying that too.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I don't know if you guys realize just how much I struggle with this.
Let's see. What about Padilla? Like William Padilla Brown? I don't really know. I don't know Will at all. I've never met him. I don't think I may have talked to him way before he ever blew up, when just been like, hey, you seem like you might be somebody to watch or something like that. But I don't know Will. I don't know much about him. As far as like stuff in the industry, he has certainly brought a lot of attention to mushrooms, and algae actually, and some different sustainable ways of doing some things. So I mean, from my understanding, he's had a positive influence on the community, the industry, the whatever you might want to call it, whatever we are, the gang that could grow mushrooms good, right? That's who we are. The gang that grew mushrooms good, that could grow mushrooms good. So ADHD always kicks in, Falcor. I can't help it. Do you think the quality of grain spawn becomes reduced the more times it is broken up before being inoculated into the substrate? I don't know about that, but what I will tell you that I do know is that mechanical stress is the single largest cause of mutations in mycelium, period. Well, maybe I shouldn't say period, but like the most common one, the one that we're going to run into. If you're not ordering mutagenic agents, and I hope to goodness you're not ordering mutagenic agents without training, and probably a fair amount of equipment and safety gear. But if you're not working with mutagenic materials,
yourself.
Do what?
So you end up mutating yourself.
Oh gosh, somebody told me they were going to be working with rosary peas once, and I was like, that's like cancer in a pea. But anyways, UV light, mechanical stress, certain levels of enzymes, and freezing temps. Those are, which I think it still comes down to mechanical stress, because it's not a shearing, but it's a bursting of the cell wall. But the point is that when that happens, there's a lot of regenerative activity, metabolic activity that happens. And when anytime that you have a large amount of metabolic activity, that's a good time for constraints, so like biological constraints, to fail. And when you break up mycelium, you're breaking up millions of hyphae, right? And when you do that, you're giving each one a chance, a roll of the dice to mutate. Granted, it's probably outnumbered. It's not that big of a deal, but the more you mechanically stress it, the further down the line, the more likely you have mutations building up. And 9 times out of 10, mutations are not helpful. So, if anything, they're harmful more often than not. So, that's what I can say. I will say that I've noticed that if I shake spawn too often, it does slow down. And that may just be a recovery period thing. So if you shake and then 2 days later shake, it may have not had enough time to fully recover from its stress to bounce back well. So what you do at that point is I would shake and then give it a recovery period when I can see it's really running strong. Do you think there's any quality difference between grain spawn that's been refrigerated and grain spawn that's, say, only 10 days old and never refrigerated? The biggest difference I would see, or have seen, is mycelium that is 10 days old is like prime, still running high levels of enzymatic activity, high metabolic activity. Like, it is literally what Paul Stamets coined as mycelium running. It is mycelium, like, honestly, if I've got a bag and it's grown in, and there's just like a tiny little piece of grain or a few grains or a small spot that hasn't grown in, that's going to be grown in by tomorrow. And at that point, I would consider that bag slightly past peak. That's at peak right there when like 95% to 95% of that bag is colonized. And so if you got a few sterile grains that are uncolonized, I'm not worried about it. You get these, you shake them up, and then you run them to the next set of grain bags or your fruiting blocks. That's mycelium running, right? You're keeping it running at every step. You're keeping it at the highest potential metabolic activity going for as long as you can until you get to fruiting. Refrigeration slows all that down. Everything goes into stasis. It hibernates, so to speak. But what I have noticed is if you take the bag out and you use it straight away refrigerated, there's a recovery period of 2 or 3 days, oftentimes in blocks, before you start to see growth. If you take that bag out and you give it 24 to 48 hours to warm up to room temperature and then use it, I've seen it have really good effects. Like, in fact,
It's almost like the cold shock.
Yeah. You take it, you warm it up, you break it up, and then you run with it. Samantha and I actually did a test, like, when we were still in the basement, where we had a spawn fridge, and I just threw a bunch of king blue blocks, or spawn blocks, in the freezer to test them out. And so we did frozen for 6 days, frozen for 6 weeks, frozen for 6 months, frozen for a year, and then frozen for 15 months. So a year and 3 months. And we found that the blocks that were frozen for about a year, or 6 months to a year, actually, when you brought them out and you give them a warm-up period, performed better than the stuff that was oftentimes kind of at peak, just running by itself. But who wants to freeze blocks for, like, it was only a day or two, and the freezing didn't really get you anything. So, now that said, you can absolutely refrigerate blocks for a few days to a few weeks, and like I said, as long as you let them recover, you got to think there's different types of stress, and everything, like, you experience stress as stress. Mushrooms experience stress as stress. So you've got mechanical stress, you've got thermal stress, you've got chemical stress, you've got etc. So each one of these types of stress is going to have a negative effect. If you take a block that is in stasis and then it's coming out of that cold into the heat, that's a stressful moment. That's a transition period. And then you take that and you shake it. You've now combined 2 types of stress at once.
I will say that we did have someone order a bulk pack, and they put their address in wrong, and it shipped to them and then shipped back to us, and I shipped them a new case, but I used what was shipped back to us, and that box was beaten all to pieces, and it had obviously gone through multiple temperature zones, and it had quite a bit of metabolite on it. It almost looked like it had shrunk a little bit, but I threw it into the substrate, and it did phenomenally well. It actually grew in faster than the other stuff that had been babied in the lab.
We hear that a lot, actually. Mushrooms that undergo stress, and then they end up performing better than something that you would usually consider at peak. So, I mean, how many times have we had blocks that are contaminated, you guys, and you throw them out, and the next thing you know, they're outside and they're fruiting wonderfully, and they've eaten all the contamination?
Or we've had blocks that had just a small, tiny little bit on one corner of contamination, and I just flipped it around, initiated it anyway. And by the time it had fruited and I had thrown out the block, because I would put a star on, and you can see in some of our videos, there's a few blocks here and there that have stars on them. That was once, at one point, a small little dot of contamination, and it would have created a cluster that was actually heavier and more robust than the other stuff. So, I think if you baby things too much, you end up with a not as strong strain.
Which is why we purposely neglect our children.
Andrew Reed.
I'm convinced that
I will say that they just finished the chicken on the grill while we've been doing this, and
our kids are incredibly self-sufficient. Yeah,
finished the noodles, and they have finished dinner.
You
and
guys hear
probably already
her
eaten.
defending neglect? I mean, my goodness.
That is not what I'm doing.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so zeitgeist. The mushroom zeitgeist. Good word, Dr. Jordan. It was great being here. Need to go. Glad to be feeling better. Thank you, Catherine. I really appreciate it. Glad to have you in case you catch this. And Opus says he's got to bounce. That's all right. We're about to bounce as well. But it's been fun. Should I be squishing all the air out of my grain spawn bags before putting them in the refrigerator, or do you simply do that for shipping? We only do that for shipping purposes. If it goes in the fridge, we just put it in. We don't do anything extra to it.
Now, if you wanted to squish the air out and put it in the fridge because you wanted to prolong the life of the grain, you wanted to put it in stasis, that lack of oxygen is going to prevent it from growing further until you kind of open it back up or whatever.
Yep.
So
I would agree with that for sure.
In fact, we've had people come to us and show us where they've collapsed the air out of kits and then just put the kits in storage and sold them a little bit by little bit with inventory to stores, and they lasted forever without fruiting in the box, in the kit box. That's what I did.
Gotcha.
What are you doing?
I just happened to look down and there's an Instagram comment and it's bad and it makes me feel bad.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. As I said before, apparently the villain. I used a laughing emoji, and that apparently makes me a clown. So, because I said that it should make someone nervous to scale up their farm. But don't worry, guys. Scaling up, putting your life savings and everything into something, that shouldn't make you nervous at all. Because it obviously means nothing to you, right? So you shouldn't be nervous. I don't understand people sometimes. The good news is he told me it cost me a consult. The truth is, good. That's the thing.
Well then.
I don't want to be cost of consults. I'm really good at what I do. I've helped a lot of people get successful farms. But if, I don't like working for people who are super nitpicky like that. Or, I don't know, want to monitor my use of emojis, or the fact that I say that if you care about something, that nervousness is a sign that you care. And that's a good thing. You know what? That's fine. It's okay. You don't have to care. Yep, you too. What I say, we stayed on for you, and yeah, you're leaving. That's okay. Like I said, we're leaving too. Well, hold on. We got some other questions.
I like the stun method. Sheer, total, utter neglect.
Sheer, total.
It should be stunning, right?
I like that too. There we go. Dustin Nutt says, so I do have a question about the mother of pearl. I've purchased the culture from you guys a couple of times, but I just keep having problems with it. Just wondering if it needs something special, or is anyone else having problems with it?
Aww.
I don't know, Dustin. Normally that's like the least problem having strain I've ever had.
We have a bag of grain. We can grow it out and see what's going on. Maybe. We grow all of our strains out periodically. That's the point of the grow room.
Yep.
But we have not grown it out since this summer.
Yeah,
So.
it's actually been actually I have that's why we have bags of it now, is to grow it out, because we haven't grown out with it in a little bit. But I don't know, Dustin.
Every jar that we go through, it goes on to agar, and then LC, of course, and then we do an LC test with it with the agar to make sure it's good and clean, and then we put it into grain to make sure it grows on grain, and
the sniff test. The sniff test is always first.
So we'll go through
that
again.
is actually, the sniff test has turned out to be more accurate than any other LC testing method we've come across.
Nose.
The nose. Spanky, you said, what's the max times we can shake colonizing grains? There is no max time, but honestly, we shake our bags one time and then never shake it again.
More like twice, right?
Twice? No, we do it one time. I inoculate mine with LC. I wait until it grows in. When I get a good amount of growth on the front of the bag, I shake that up, and then that's it. That's the only time I ever shake it. Unless I'm doing the aerated LC. If I'm doing aerated LC, then we still only shake it once, but the aerated LC goes from aerated bottle to free pour to a bag. And then the free pour into a bag, we close that up and shake that up.
This is going to be the next test.
What test?
I'm going to put a bag aside, and I'm going to shake it over and over again.
Are you shaking my bags?
No. and then we're going to see what it does. You know what I bet it'll do? I bet it will become hard as a rock.
From shaking it too much?
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's my preemptive calling it.
We'll see. Maybe I coddle my babies a little too much. Mr. Woody says that he loves his MOP. It's his go-to strain. Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out what might be going on. It seems to grow slower on the grain, but looks great. But when expanded bulk, it just turns bacterial and grows blotch. Yeah, that should definitely not be right. That sounds bacterial. Like you've got a bacterial strain. So whether that came from me or in your lab or something, we gotta figure that out, because you should not be missing mother of pearl. That's a really good one. Contact me.
Maybe I should send you the mother of pearl grain that we've got.
Maybe.
You know what? Maybe I can grain to grain it, and then we can batch share, and I'll send you one to try, and then we'll try it, and we'll grow it out together. How about that?
We've also got we just reset the LC line. Let's see, we reset that cell line maybe a month ago. So, the stuff we're selling right now for the past couple of weeks is the refreshed culture. I don't know. Try it. You can try it out again.
I'll also send you the new one.
Okay. I was gonna say it's just contact us. Here's what I want.
I'll contact you, Dustin.
Fungal said that they just inoculated their first run of MOP. That's the thing, is I want you to have good experience with mother of pearl, because if you start talking about mother of pearl, then other people are talking about mother of pearl, and more people try it, and I make more money, and I love that. So. More importantly, it gets my strains into people's hands. More of my strains into people's hands, which is...
More importantly is that you love it as much as we do, because it's awesome.
You guys see why Samantha's here. Oh, man. Alrighty, y'all. I'm going to call it, because it's almost 10 o'clock here where I'm at. And I actually wasn't even prepared to do a 2-hour show tonight, so we'll have to keep that in mind, that maybe we keep like always an hour after the initial show for Q&As. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm moving to second shift anyways.
We've been on second shift. Anyway.
I like it better. Nights are way better than days. Whoever decided that we had to be up during the day. Alright guys, I'm going to hit you one more time with our sponsor. But please like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to us if you are not. We got like 40% of people that watch my videos are unsubscribed. Subscribe to me. It's just a click. I won't bite hard. All of that said, like I said, I'll hit you one more time with the sponsor, and then we're going to go to good night. It's been a pleasure with you guys. Thank you so much for making this a success, the first show back. Thank you for all the well wishes. It does feel good to feel good. And I really appreciate that, guys. And let that fire in the belly grow. Keep spawning culture, y'all.
See ya.